Thank you, Chairperson. I will do two things in my speech. First, I will define this motion. Second, I will give our constructive point. Definition. We define this motion as the Japanese government should build new nuclear power plants to meet future energy needs. This does not mean that we stop using other energy sources like solar or wind, but it means we will actively build new nuclear plants as one important solution to our energy problems. Our point is this: nuclear power is necessary to solve Japan's energy crisis and fight climate change. Explanation Part 1. Current problem. Right now, Japan depends too much on fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. These fuels release a lot of CO2 and cause global warming. Also, Japan imports most of its energy. This means Japan is not energy independent. If something bad happens in other countries, like war or economic problems, our energy supply is at risk. For example, after the war in Ukraine, gas prices increased a lot in Japan. Many people and companies had to pay more money for electricity. This is a big problem for everyone. Part 2. Seriousness of the problem. Because of high energy costs, factories are moving out of Japan. This causes job loss. Also, people with low incomes suffer more from expensive electricity. If Japan keeps depending on imported fossil fuels, this situation will get worse. We will have higher costs, more pollution, and more climate disasters like floods and heat waves. Part 3. Mechanism after we adopt the motion. If we build new nuclear plants, we can produce a lot of electricity with low carbon emissions. Nuclear power is stable. It works 24/7, unlike solar or wind, which depends on the weather. This means we can reduce our use of coal and gas. Also, we can become more energy independent. New technology makes nuclear plants safer than before, so we can build them in safe places and protect people from accidents. Part 4. Importance. This is important for everyone in Japan. It helps families by lowering electricity costs. It helps workers by keeping factories in Japan. It helps the environment by reducing CO2. And it helps future generations by slowing down climate change. That's why we strongly propose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will do two things in my speech. First, I will give rebuttal to the government's point. Second, I will give our constructive point. Rebuttal to the government point. The government said that nuclear power will solve Japan's energy crisis and reduce CO2. However, this argument hides a big assumption that nuclear energy is safe, fast, and cost-effective. But this is not true. First, building a nuclear power plant takes a very long time, usually 10 years or more. During that time, we will still need to use fossil fuels, so it won't solve the short-term problem. Second, nuclear power is very expensive. It costs billions of yen to build a single plant. That money could be used to improve renewable energy instead. Third, safety is still a major issue. The Fukushima accident in 2011 proved that even in a country like Japan, which has advanced technology, accidents can happen. Nuclear waste also remains dangerous for thousands of years. Japan still has no final storage solution. So their point does not stand. Our constructive point. Renewable energy is safer, cheaper, and better for Japan. First, Japan already uses solar and wind energy. These clean sources are becoming cheaper and more efficient every year. For example, many homes and companies are using rooftop solar panels. Japan also has great potential for offshore wind power. Second, this is important because it allows Japan to move toward energy independence without high risk. Renewable energy does not create radioactive waste, and it does not cause large-scale accidents. It is much safer for the people and for future generations. If we build new nuclear plants, it will cause several bad results. First, the government will spend too much time and money on nuclear projects. This delays investment in clean technology. Second, local communities will resist these projects. No one wants a nuclear plant near their home. This will create social division and public protests. Fourth, the risk is serious. If another nuclear accident happens, like Fukushima, thousands of people may be forced to evacuate again. Land may become unlivable. Children and families will suffer. One mistake can cause a lifetime of pain. That is a risk we should not take again. That's why we strongly oppose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will do 3 things in my speech. First, I will rebut the opposition's point. Second, I will rebuild our first point. Third, I will add our second constructive point. Rebuttal to opposition point. The opposition said nuclear power is dangerous, expensive, and takes too long. But they ignore the fact that fossil fuels are even more dangerous for the planet. Climate change is already happening. Heat waves, typhoons, wildfires. We don't have time to wait. Nuclear power is faster than they say. Some new reactors take only 5 to 7 years to build. That is fast enough to meet our energy goals. Also, modern nuclear technology is much safer. For example, small modular reactors can shut down automatically in emergencies. So, their point does not stand. Reconstruction of PM point. Our first point was about solving the energy crisis and reducing CO2. We want to say again, nuclear power is reliable and clean. Renewable energy is great, but it is not enough. The sun doesn't always shine, and the wind doesn't always blow. Without nuclear power, Japan cannot meet its energy needs. Nuclear energy fills the gap and reduces fossil fuel use. That's why it is necessary. Our second point, stability for the future. Explanation. Japan faces many disasters, earthquakes, storms, and heat waves. During such times, we need stable electricity. Nuclear power provides a steady energy supply. Unlike solar and wind, it does not depend on the weather. This helps hospitals, trains, and homes to keep running in emergencies. Also, by building new plants with better safety design, we make sure that energy is stable even in the long term. That's why we strongly propose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will do 4 things in my speech. First, I will rebut the government's first point. Second, I will rebut the second point. Third, I will rebuild our point. Fourth, I will add our second constructive point. Rebuttal to government point 1. They said nuclear power is clean and helps reduce CO2. But this hides a problem: nuclear waste. Even if there's no accident, waste from nuclear plants stays dangerous for thousands of years. Japan still doesn't have a safe place to store it. This is not a clean energy. So their point does not stand. Rebuttal to government point 2. They said nuclear power gives stable energy in disasters. But during the 2011 earthquake, nuclear power failed and caused more damage. In contrast, solar panels and local energy systems can recover quickly. We should invest in these. So their point does not stand. Reconstruction of LO point. We said that renewable energy is safer and brings local benefits. We want to repeat that. Unlike nuclear, renewable energy can be used anywhere, and doesn't cause fear or distress. Japan is a country with a lot of coastlines and sun. We should use that. Also, renewable energy creates jobs for local workers, not just big companies. Our second point, better investment choice. Explanation. Nuclear plants need billions of yen and many years, but Japan has limited money. If we use that money to improve solar panels, storage batteries, and smart grids, we can get more energy and more safety. This is a smarter, more flexible way to make energy. That's why we strongly oppose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will do 4 things in my speech. First, I will summarize the debate. Second, I will show the most important issue. Third, I will summarize the governance side. Fourth, I will show why we are stronger. 1. Debate summary. Both sides talked about energy security and the environment. Gov side said nuclear power is clean and stable. Op side said nuclear power is dangerous and renewable is better. 2. Most important issue. The most important issue is safety and future risk. Even if nuclear power gives clean energy, if something goes wrong, the cost is too high. One mistake can destroy lives. 3. Government summary. GovSide relied on the idea that nuclear is the only solution, but they ignored better, safer, and cheaper options. They also didn't explain how they will deal with waste or people's fear. 4. Our strength. We gave a clear alternative. Renewables. We showed that they are growing, safe, and good for local people. We explained that nuclear is too risky and too slow for today's needs. That is why our side is more realistic, more human-centered, and safer for Japan's future. That is why we strongly oppose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will do 4 things in my speech. First, I will rebut the opposition's second point. Second, I will summarize the debate. Third, I will show the most important issue. Fourth, I will explain why our side is better. 1. Rebut to opposition point 2. They said investing in renewables is a better choice, but this hides the problem of energy instability. Renewables are growing, yes, but they cannot work 24/7. Batteries are still expensive. Japan needs both renewables and nuclear. Without nuclear, we will keep using coal and gas. That's worse for the planet. So their point does not stand. 2. Debate summary. This debate was about energy, safety, and the future. GovSide showed that nuclear energy helps reduce carbon emissions and gives stable energy. OpSide focused on risk and waste, but ignored current urgent needs. 3. Most important issue. The most important issue is energy stability and climate action. Japan needs clean, stable energy now. Nuclear gives us that. Waiting for perfect renewables is not realistic. 4. Our strength. We showed a clear mechanism: less fossil fuel use, lower CO2, more energy security. We also said new nuclear tech is much safer. That's why we give a balanced, urgent, and practical solution. That's why we strongly propose this motion. Thank you.
勝敗発表。今回のディベートの勝者は否定側、オポジションです。判定理由。このディベートは主に2つの軸で争われました。1つ目は、原子力発電は日本のエネルギー問題の解決策になるのか。2つ目は、原発のリスクは許容可能なのか、それとも回避すべきものなのかという点です。肯定側の主張、ガバメント。肯定側は、原子力が CO2 を出さず、再生可能エネルギーの不安定さを補う安定した基幹電源であり、将来的なエネルギー安全保障を確保できると主張しました。また、新しい技術や規制によって安全性は過去より向上しており、 事故のリスクは十分に管理できると述べていました。これらの主張は技術的合理性という点では説得力があり、特に現実的にすぐ使える低炭素エネルギー源として原発を位置づけた点は評価できます。否定側の主張、オポジション。否定側は原発事故の不可逆的かつ長期的な被害の深刻さに焦点を当て、たとえ確率が小さくても一度事故が起きれば地域社会や人々の生活が永続的に破壊されるというリスクの性質を明確に描き出しました。さらに原発にかかるコスト、建設期間、地域住民の合意形成などの課題を指摘し、再生可能エネルギーへの投資こそが現実的かつ持続可能な選択肢であるという比較をしっかり提示しました。また、肯定側が繰り返し主張した新技術による安全性についても、技術が進歩しても自然災害やヒューマンエラーを完全にコントロールすることはできないという反論が効果的でした。勝敗を分けた決定的な要素。勝敗を分けたのはリスクの質に対するフレーミングです。肯定側はリスクを下げられるものとして扱いましたが、否定側はそれをゼロでなければならない種類のリスクとして定義し、原発だけが持つ特殊な危険性を印象づけることに成功しました。さらに、否定側は代替案、再生可能エネルギーの実現可能性についても説明を重ね、単なる反対ではなく、より良い選択肢があるという議論の構成ができていました。総評。両チームとも論点を深く掘り下げ、バランスの取れた議論を展開しましたが、最終的に否定側の方が議論の枠組み、リスクの捉え方を自分たちの有利な方向に設定し、肯定側の利点を上回る深刻な影響を描き出したことが決定打となりました。